Hello and welcome to part 2 of the Create Your Own 2D Character for Use in Unreal Engine 4 tutorial. In this particular tutorial we're going to import all the images that we created, all of these individual images that we created in the previous video, and we're going to import it into Blender itself and then set it up so that we can animate it in a later video. So what you want to do first is, I'm just going to click somewhere, I'm going to select everything in the scene and then just delete it. Then I'm going to click File, User Preferences, Add-ons, and you can type in under Search, Images. And then there's an option, Import Images as Planes. You just want to tick that. What this allows you to do is when you click a normal image and you import it, it will import as a flat plane into Blender itself. So let's quickly close that. And then we're going to click Import Images as Planes. Scroll to where we saved our character and we're just going to select all of these and click import. And there they are. So I'm going to hit 7 to go into top view and then 5 to go into orthographic view. Orthographic view is going to be very important for this, so keep that in mind. If things start to look a little bit weird, just make sure that you are actually in orthographic view. Okay, so now you'll just see these blank images or blank planes. The reason why is because we're still in solid shading mode, so we're going to just switch over to texture. And there are all our individual pieces, but you notice that there are these black borders around them. Now, essentially what this is when we created our character, even though I created a background layer, I never chose a color for it. And then every individual image that we created, actually, this white gap over here, there's no image data for that. So there's absolutely nothing there, there's nothing there, nothing there. So that will essentially be our alpha channel because there is no other information there. We have our color information here. And when we jump over to Blender, that's essentially what we want to display. But by default, Blender displays the alpha channel as a black background. So to fix this, we just need to click our first plane. Then I'm going to just open this up a little bit and click on materials. And first thing we want to do is tick shadeless. The reason for that is we are not going to use any lights or anything in our scene specifically when we want to render this out. We want our image to look exactly like it does here when we render it out. So that is why we're going to use shadeless, so it just uses all the color that is available on the image itself. So shadeless, then you're going to click on transparency, click on Z transparency, and then we're just going to reduce the alpha channel to 0. Then you'll see that it goes completely transparent on our materials setting over there. Then we're going to jump over to texture. And then we're just going to go under image, and over there we're going to click use alpha channel, or just use alpha. Now, immediately when you look at it, you would say, oh, I'm done, it's set up, it's working. But if we actually go over to our rendered view, we notice that it's rendering it completely, it's not rendering it. It's completely transparent. So the reason for that is because you would have to go under the influence and then take alpha and make sure that alpha is set to 1. So if we go back into rendered view, you see that it renders everything that we originally drew and it doesn't render those backgrounds or that background. So that is how we set it up. Now everything is set up on this particular piece. This is the body piece. So now we want to do it for everything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how to do it for this next piece over here, because this is the eyes that we drew in black, and then I'm just going to skip through when I finished all of these. So I'm just going to guide you through the process one more time. So we're going to go over to our materials tab, click shadeless, transparency, Z transparency, set that to 0, texture, click on image, use alpha, and then click alpha down below. And that is all the steps that you need to follow. I'm going to quickly do it for the remaining 5 items and then we're going to continue. Alright, there we go. So everything has been set up, and what we're going to do now is actually just position them so that they kind of look like our image did over here. So this is the body, we're going to drag that off over there. This is the left arm. As you can see, everything still kept the naming conventions of the images that we created, so that's a little bit of a plus. So if you exported everything with the names that you wanted and you imported into Blender, then everything should be exactly the way that you exported it. So that's nice because it's already set up for us. Oops, I don't want to hide it, so I'm just going to grab and move that over there. And now you're going to start seeing some little weird artifacts that are going to start to appear. There we go. So the head actually imported slightly smaller and the face imported slightly bigger. So I'm just going to scale these down. You hit S to scale and to scale. And because it's a flat plane, you don't actually worry about scaling any of the other sides. So now everything kind of looks okay, but when you start going like this, you notice that it's like there's some artifacts here. The reason for that is that we are effectively drawing everything on exactly the same plane, on exactly the same axis on that plane. So that's not really going to work, because then you're just going things are going to overlap each other, or they're going to try and display through one another. So what you would want to do is then actually go into the side view and then just move all of these individual parts as they would be on the body. So move them to their different levels. Now this is where I said that orthographic view is important, because if you do this while in perspective view, then let's just quickly switch to perspective view if it will allow me. There we go. So you see we're in the same top view, but we're in perspective view, so the eyes don't line up. If we're in orthographic view, it lines up. So think of orthographic view as like it's your complete 2D flat plane, and that is what we want. We want the plane to be flat, so we're going to keep in orthographic view for everything that we're going to do. And then what we're going to do further is then I want to move the head up slightly, though the body needs to be in front of the head, so select the body. There we go. And this arm over here is okay, but this arm I want in front of that, so that's okay. And then the right leg should be slightly in front of the left leg. I'm just going to move this arm also up a little bit, so that if there's ever a point when it overlaps with that leg, that it doesn't show like any artifacts or anything like that. There we go. So that's our character set up. Everything looks okay. If we go into the side view, it looks like completely weird. If we select all of them, it's like these different layers. But that is what we want. We want this character to use the different layers so that we can actually just animate it easier. Okay, so what we're going to do from here is set the pivot points for every individual item. Because actually, if you look at it now, it's a pivot point or the origin point. Everything should be at the center of the image. So if I want to rotate this, I push R, it's going to rotate like that. Now, essentially what we want to do is we want the arm to rotate around the joint. So if we had two different images here, there would be a joint here and there would be a joint here. But because we have like a single arm over here, we just need that one joint over there. So to set your joint, you're going to left click, and that's your 3D cursor. And then on the left side here, there is set origin, and we're going to set the origin to the 3D cursor. And there we go. Now your first reaction would actually be that, why am I doing it like this? Why am I not just using armature to set it up? For more complex characters, eventually, yes, armature would be ideal to use, but for this particular character, as I did with the Ludum Dare challenge, I didn't use any armatures. I just animated it straight in Blender and then imported it into Unreal Engine 4. So the way it looks over here, that is exactly what I want. So I'm just going to set up the pivot points for every individual item. So the body over here, essentially it would only if we are going to move the body, it will probably move from over here if the character bends forward. So let's set the origin to the 3D cursor. Okay, I'm just going to hide all the parts that we're done with. And then this leg, I'm going to click, set origin to 3D cursor. I'm going to hide that. Go, set origin to 3D cursor. And that's going to be about there. And see, there is a keyboard shortcut, but Shift Control Alt C. Okay, if you're going to do that a couple of times in a row, it's going to get just a little bit frustrating. Now, here's when it's going to get a little bit tricky, because this is a simple face. We didn't export the eyes individually or the mouth individually, so they are one big plane, or it is one big plane. If it was an individual eye, it would be a plane over there, a plane over there, and the mouth would be a plane on its own, and then we can actually move those around individually. But because I wanted to keep it simple, it's one big plane. Now, if the head is going to rotate, the eyes are going to rotate with it. So what we want to do here is actually just set its pivot point to the same as, or its origin point to the same as the head itself. So leave that one there, set origin to 3D cursor. That way, if we ever move these parts individually, we can just like move it back like that, and it should be easier. And let's just hide those two. I'm going to click this one, so this is our last piece. Click over there and set origin to 3D cursor. You're going to hit Alt H to unhide everything. So now everything should be set up. We have the arm that can move, this arm that can move. If we actually select these, okay, not together, select that, everything moves the way I intended it to move. So that's our start of our animation project set up. As I said, we're not using armatures. This is just a very quick way to do it. And the next video what we'll cover is rendering it out and then importing it into Unreal Engine 4 as a flipbook. So if you guys like what you saw, please subscribe to the channel. And the next video should be up actually before the end of tomorrow. So like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.